We have finally made it, everyone. Give yourself a round of applause. We have reached the finale of Constellation. 8 episodes in, all the confusion surrounding this show. Will our questions be answered? I'm just gonna say it right up front. No. We just get more questions. But welcome everyone. It is me, Anthony, here to talk to you guys about Constellation. And I told you guys, we're in the final episode. But I said they ain't gonna just tie this up like a little nice bow and everything and let us frolic into the sunset. No. They're gonna tease us. They're gonna give us a cliffhanger, and that's exactly what they did in this show. It's a business. You gotta keep on rolling. Gotta pump out some more seasons. So if you're new to this channel and you want to catch up on all the recaps that I've done for the entire series so far, go check out the playlist over here so you can get all the theories and mind mush that I have with this show. And let's see if all my theories came true in this episode. Probably not, but we'll see. So without further ado, let's get into the final episode, episode 8 of Constellation. The episode starts with Joe being admitted to a mental facility where Irina is there to meet her, hoping that she can make Joe come to terms with her current situation. Bud, who is for some reason alone in the snow. I mean, we saw him in the last episode. He was like lying right next to Alice and everybody came to rescue Alice and they just left him in the snow? That was a weird kind of edit there that they did. Bud takes an axe and destroys the cow, seemingly severing the connection between the different realities. Or did he? Back at home, Alice tells Magnus that she believes that her real mom is dead and that there is another Alice and that all of this has something to do with the cow. Magnus looks at his daughter like she's a crazy person and tells Alice that Joe has a mental illness and that she is alive. Here we go, guys. Magnus, Father of the Year. Back at the hospital, Joe gets a mammogram that shows that she is pregnant. I'm not really sure or convinced that she is pregnant with at least a human child. We'll say that at least. But we'll talk about that later on in the theory section of the video. In the Red universe, Henry gets arrested for the attempted murder of Paul Lancaster and the murder of Ian Rogers. Henry tells the FBI agents that he wants to take a lie detector test and that they need to compare his DNA with the DNA in Bud's apartment. At the hospital, Joe tries to tell Irina that she is from another reality and that she saw Alice and wants to know how to get back there. Irina tells Joe that she needs to take the new pills so that it won't hurt her unborn child. Joe throws the pills away and says that she has to go back to Alice. Joe suddenly hears a scream from above her and asks who is making that noise. Irina says that there is another guest and that she won't be seeing that person.
Are you sure about that?
Joe grabs Irina's arm and she suddenly turns into the dead cosmonaut that she saw while on the ISS. Some time passes and Ilya, the real MVP, shows up to visit Joe and tells her that she needs to get on her pills and that she has an illness called astronaut burnout. Joe pushes back and tells Ilya to leave, and before he leaves, he grabs Joe's arm and gives her a pair of keys. See, my man Ilya, showing that he's the real MVP of this show, the best character of the series so far. Gotta give it up to him. Later that night, Joe uses the keys that Ilya gave her to escape, but she hears the same scream she heard when she was talking to Irina and goes to investigate. She finds 2 old men screaming in the cell saying "mommy," and I don't know if this has any significance to anything that's going to happen in the future. It probably does, knowing this show, but we'll talk about that again later on in the video because there's some crazy stuff that I need to talk about. Joe then goes back to her room and starts to cry herself to sleep. We then have this bizarre scene where we go back and forth between Red Alice and Blue Alice as they talk to Wendy about their parents, and Red Alice tries to talk to Blue Alice through the recorder, which I thought was burnt up in the last episode that we saw, but now it's back. Maybe it has some kind of connection, just like with the freaking beads that Alice has. This reality time changing thing is just getting crazier. Red Alice tells Blue Alice that she wants to talk to Joe and that they are moving away, but Blue Alice doesn't answer. The FBI agents tell Henry that he passed the lie detector test with flying colors, but that his DNA matched with what they found at Bud's apartment. Henry is then charged with murder and attempted murder, so I guess this is what Bud meant when he said he's going to mess up Henry. And That is exactly what he just did, because this is just crazy. Again, I would like to know how Bud knew that exact moment or that exact time that he was going to switch places with Henry. I don't know how that happened, but hey, that's just asking too much for my questions to be answered. Back at the hospital, Joe asks Irina who the man upstairs is, and Irina says that he is the first man to go to space. Irina tells Joe that she can make things work in this reality and that she just needs to try to survive and see her current situation as another chance. Alice and Magnus come to visit Joe, and Alice tells Joe that she wants to make things work and that she can be her Alice and Joe can be her mommy. Joe tells Magnus that she will take her pills if it will allow her to come back with him and Alice, and Magnus asks Joe about the baby and whether or not she wants to keep it. Joe then asks Magnus, does he want it? We then see Irina writing an email apparently to every astronaut known to man, where she says that she's been keeping a secret since 1967 that going into space drives people mad. She asks the astronauts if they would be willing to report any issues that they have had to her anonymously. Back at the ISS, we see Joe floating in space, and she suddenly awakens and grabs the iPad. Nice product placement there. Been doing it throughout this entire season, so good job, Apple. And the episode ends. I don't know how she is still alive with the injury that she has sustained, but hey, now Joe's alive in that universe, so does that mean there's another primary color universe? Damn it, just another thing I gotta keep track of in the next season. But that is it, guys. That is the end of season 1 of Constellation. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you confused? Are you still confused? Are you mad that your questions weren't answered? Or are you happy that the series is going to continue and going to confuse us all, possibly? Let me know in the comments down below. But for me, at least, this episode, I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. There was some that I didn't like, but we'll get to that later. But overall, I think that this show, a series as a whole, is really entertaining. I think the show really got me in the first couple episodes. I was really intrigued. I wanted to know what the mystery was around Joe and the cow. I think the show is really well acted. I mean, Noomi Rapace, I think that's how you say her name. She is a great actress. She kind of looks like she has a unique look to her. She kind of looks like an anthropomorphic animal person thing. Don't know why I get that vibe from her, but I do. I will say that the later episodes went a little bit too heavy into the multiverse kind of thing that everybody is seemingly doing in Hollywood nowadays. And that did make things a little bit hard to follow, at least for me. And I could see some people kind of dropping off after this season and not watching it because they didn't get the amount of answers that they wanted to be. So I think that's gonna suck because the second season, not that many people are gonna watch, and I probably think that's probably gonna be the last season of Constellation because of that. But hoping, here's crossing fingers that this doesn't happen, because we created a community and you guys want to talk about it. Maybe you guys just don't want to talk about Constellation anymore. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the ending of Constellation, guys. Will you be watching the second season, or are you done? Oh, and if you noticed, I didn't really talk about the Bud stuff that happened in this episode. There wasn't really that much to talk about, it was just Bud doing his weekend at Bernie's kind of Ferris Bueller's Day Off kind of thing that he was doing in this episode. He was just going around messing things up, enjoying life, and he stuck it to Henry. He was just going around doing weird stuff, saying weird stuff, and nobody seemed to notice except for Irina in that universe. She kind of was like, oh, it's Bud now. What the heck's going on? But yeah, there wasn't much to talk about with Bud. He's in the red universe now, I think, and he's messing things up. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in season 2. Shout out to that actor. He's doing a really good job about, switching the personalities and stuff. So now let's get into the theory section of the video, where I just talk about some things that I saw that interest me, and some questions that I have for this last episode or for the series as a whole, because as you know, there's a lot of questions that we need still answered that haven't been answered in this episode. We pretty much only got one question answered in this entire series. But hey, here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is Joe being pregnant. Now, when they showed us the mammograms of Joe being pregnant, it showed like 2 little dots, or like 2 dots or one dot merging into two. And I think that has some, significance in this episode because Joe, when she goes to see the old man upstairs, there's two of them, but Irina says there's one. And Irina also says that, you got to take your pills or you're going to split into two. So maybe that's that has happened to the old man up there. And maybe that's the same thing that's happening to Joe's unborn child or children. But I also thought it was kind of weird that the mammogram kind of looked like what the Cal device was looking like in a couple episodes. Like when the Cal device first came down to Earth, when Henry was looking at it, it was kind of merging into two, just similar to like that. Maybe that's what's going on. Also, there's another theory that I have that maybe the old man upstairs is actually Joe's kid in the future, because he was like calling her mama. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. If they go that route, oh man. Now, this isn't really a theory or anything like that. I'm just going to give another shout out to Ilya, man. The real MVP of this entire show. He was basically us. If we were planted into the show and we're like, hey, dude, this stuff is weird. This stuff is fishy. You guys don't realize this? And he's helping Joe out, giving her the keys, doing the research. I love him, man. Ilya, doing a good job. But there was one thing that I thought was interesting is he looked up when he gave the keys to Joe, like as if he was looking at a camera or something, and they never really addressed it after that. So I was like, wait, is there a camera there the whole time? And if there is a camera, why didn't Joe look at the camera and realize like, hey, they're watching us. That's why, we can't really do anything. That was kind of weird. I don't know if that was just him just looking up, or I don't know. Let me know what you think about that, about Ilya. Is he the real MVP? I think he is. Let me know in the comments down below. Another thing that I think might be a possibility in season 2 is that we are not going to see any more of the Red Universe, other than the stuff with Bud, at least. But I think the stuff with Alice and Magnus in the Red Universe, I think it's done. I mean, they made it seem like, they're moving away, they're going away, they're moving on with their lives. And the way that Blue Alice is talking, like, I want Joe to be my mama because I want a mama and you need an Alice so we could be together. It looks like they're moving away from the Red Universe. I don't know if they're actually going to do that because Bud is there. So, so they still have that unfinished story between Bud and Henry. But it kind of made it look like that. Let me know what you think about the Red Universe being pretty much almost gone in the next season. Let me know in the comments down below. And I hinted at this a little bit, who the old man, the first man in space is. Is he the future version of Joe's baby? Who is this guy? I mean, there's not really much. I can sit here and just give theories all day and I won't have any substantial evidence to give you guys because they just threw this character at us at the end of the season without any backstory. So we don't know anything about this guy. So my guess is as good as your guys is. I still think maybe I'm just gonna go with the theory that he's the future baby of Joe. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the old man that can split into two. Here we go. But that is it, guys. That is all the stuff that I have to talk to you guys about today. This is the end of Constellation. This is the end of the series. Thank you guys so much for all the support and all the new people that have come to this channel. It's been a blast talking to you guys about Constellation. I've loved all the interactions that we've had. You guys have been talking to me, hey man, you messed this up or you missed this. I love it, guys. I love it. All the community talking about it. You guys have been very respectful too, which is surprising because usually when I do series reviews like this, people just destroy me. And I think maybe it's because that this show, to my knowledge, isn't based off a book or an existing property. So there isn't the old fans coming after me, so maybe that's what it is. Or maybe this, Constellation fans are just the best because you guys are the best. But thank you guys so much. I'm going to be talking about another series later on, a couple of series is what I want to talk about. And that's coming up soon. So I'm going to be releasing those videos. If you like those videos, let me know in the comments down below and we'll do more of them. I'll see how the YouTube algorithm does, and that will determine whether or not we continue with that series. But I also do some polls in the community tab. I do that very often and, ask you guys what you want to see, what you want me to cover next. So go interact with those polls, do some polling. Yeah, go over there and do that. But again, thank you guys so much for subscribing and liking to this video. Don't forget to do that if you haven't done it already. And remember, guys, keep watching.